ever noticed that there are just some industries where everyone sounds the same? Coaches and consultants, and I'm going to add realtors. It might be the case in your industry, but it doesn't have to be the case. So my friend Monika Jansen and I today are going to chat about how the copy that you write and the language that you use in that copy really can be used to differentiate you when you create marketing materials and for your website. So I'm Erika Dickstein with Spring Insight Marketing.
And I am Monika Jansen, head Kickass Copywriter and Strategist at Jansen Communications.
And I am Monika, so excited to talk to you about this today because, in the long time that I've known you, the thing that I always remember the most about you and think about you is as not just a copywriter, but as a copywriter who is so good at establishing really unique voices for her clients. And so that's what we're going to chat about today. So let's start out with, I think this is kind of an obvious question, but let's talk it through. Why bother? Why does it matter the time that you spend creating differentiating voice for different
Well, I'd say for maybe 2 or 3 reasons. First, I would say is you're gonna stand out. You're gonna just sounding like you automatically differentiates you from everyone else. It humanizes you too. And I think the COVID pandemic really brought this home that we crave connections, authentic connections with other people, right? So I think really establishing and then leaning in, to your tone of voice already, you're going to be far ahead of the pack. Too many people are afraid they're going to offend someone. They're afraid to really be themselves. I don't know why. Well, I think that's probably a whole different conversation. But listen, if you don't click with someone or if you accidentally offend someone, listen, they're not your client to begin with.
That's a great point. And you find this to be true. I find exactly what you're saying to be so true, that people, they worry about embracing their own message too closely because they don't want to repel people who are maybe outside of their message. Well, wait a minute. I remember a client, this was years ago, and we were talking about if we're talking about a specific client, we can help her. Well, okay, what about if it was an elder care client and they were saying, well, what if somebody is looking for something for their father? No, I think they're going to be able to extrapolate that, right? But you're so much more likely to really be able to hit the perfect message if you're able to create that sort of nuance and embrace who you are.
Yeah.
So talk to me. I know that you have some questions that you start and you work with your clients that they answer to be able to get to sort of what that voice is and how you're going to package this copy.
I like to ask my clients to describe their brand in 3 words. That starts giving me a little bit of an idea of what their tone of voice is by the words they're using to describe their brand. But I also straight out ask them what kind of tone, what tone of voice resonates with you and with your audience. This stumps people. So I'll start giving them examples. Are you quirky? Are you snarky? Are you conversational and casual? Do you take a little bit more of a formal approach? And I love to ask people to send me examples, I don't care what the industry is, but if there's someone out there that you admire, you like their tone of voice, or there's a brand that you like their tone of voice, fantastic. The more examples, the better. So I come at it from a few different ways. But I think the most important thing, and I don't think I straight out say this, is just write like you talk. Just whatever you would naturally say in a conversation, those are the words and phrases you should be using when you're writing anything, whether it's about your brand or you're creating a piece of content for your audience. Lean into that.
That's a great point, because if you think about people with very unique writing styles, they are writing in a very similar way that you would hear them speak. People, it's not as if you're somebody who's very erudite and you use very long sentences and very big words that you're going to write in a very short, choppy E.E. Cummings way, right? No,
Right.
Of course, you're going to sound consistent throughout. So the part that I'm really excited with sharing everybody is I thought it would be so interesting to talk about examples in one industry
Mm-hmm.
just to see how exactly you do this, right? So I know that you work with a variety of realtors. And before I even let you go here on this, I have to say, I think realtors, I think that is the perfect industry to discuss
Mm-hmm.
because, the way that I always think of it, boy, talk about a non-differentiated, like, if you
Yeah.
buy, there's 4 realtors in the room
Mm-hmm.
and you have to decide which one to buy with, like you're going to have 2 bathrooms in that condo, no matter which one of them you buy with, right?
Right.
So
Right.
truly,
Right.
whatever the product is, you're going to end up with the same product. So realtors truly are selling on very individual characteristics.
Yeah.
So I think the voice, even more so than a lot of industries where you can come down to sort of more
Mm-hmm.
tacit or more, things that you can see and feel a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Here
Mm-hmm.
it's really personality and who is going to understand and see and be able to read your vision.
Right. Yes. Yes. Exactly.
So now I've gone on for a while, but tell me about this because I thought this was such an interesting exercise that you have
Yeah.
done.
Thanks. Yeah, I think a lot of realtors they all use the same words. They've never met a thesaurus apparently, but they don't show, they tell. They say, I am detail oriented. Well, what the hell does that mean? What does that look like in real life
Mm-hmm.
when I am working with you?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what's something else that realtors say all the time? I'm detail oriented, I'm responsive. Okay. Like they all say the same thing. So how are you
Right.
responsive? What does that mean? What does that mean for me? What does that mean for me as like a first time home buyer? I don't know what I'm doing. I need to rely on you to walk me through. Then you have to trust, right, that the realtor is going to do what they say they're going to do. Anyway, I'm sorry, started getting off on a tangent. So let me tell you how I've approached it with realtors. One thing that I like to ask my clients is, why do people choose to work with you? This is very helpful for realtors because then they'll start telling me stories. So one realtor I worked with a few years ago, Karlinski, she's in Aspen. What we decided to do is lean into the fact that she is an Aspen native. Her family is from Aspen. She was born and raised in Aspen. She was a pro snowboarder, which left me fangirling. But that's what we leaned into for her messaging, right? She's not someone who's like, wow, the market's really hot in the Roaring Fork Valley, and it has been for a long time. I should move there. She knows the area inside and out, right? Then I had a client, a realtor in the DC area in the luxury market. And for all of you in Washington, DC, it is a very, very international city. There's people literally from all over the world who live there. So for this realtor, Sam, we decided to lean into the fact that he has lived and worked all over the world. So he is able to communicate with and build rapport and trust with people from all walks of life, all different backgrounds. So there are ways to really be different. You just need to be creative about it. And sometimes it
I
takes with working with an outsider, like me, really be able to see that.
love those examples. I think Sam in particular, the second one that the work, I'm a local, that opens you up to working with everybody. But having the international focus, right, that actually is one of those where you're like, I'm willing to take a stand. Because with realtors,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I find funny, when things you said originally, like, well, I'm really responsive. Well, who's going to say that they're not responsive, right? Or who's
Exactly.
not going to want that? That's such a
Exactly.
general thing, right? But if you say, I'm international, right? Like I know this market. I know people who are coming. I know the nuances maybe of being able to, when you are from someplace else and you need
Mm-hmm.
foreign, you're perhaps you're coming in with different currency and
Correct.
you need
Yes. Yes.
banking,
Yeah.
et cetera, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a unique skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And so often what we find with when we're talking to clients is that's the kind of thing that they fear. Well, if I say that, then that means that, Ginger and Bob, who've lived here their entire life, aren't going to hire me. Well, it doesn't mean that. It means that you are the perfect person for somebody who meets you. It certainly doesn't mean Ginger and Bob are going to go, oh, it's not meant for me.
No.
But it does give you the ability to create messaging that fits so tightly for the right client.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, your tone of voice, nailing your tone of voice in your message is a lead qualifier. It's going to people, well, like I said before, like make that connection. He's lived and worked in Tokyo. He's lived and worked in Dubai. He knows what lifestyles and what real estate are like over there. And now he's going to help me find a place in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's super helpful. And I have certainly experienced it myself where you see copy that like looks like it was designed for you. It describes you and you're like, well, clearly this is the obvious person because they have written something that fits me so tightly.
Yeah, because they know their audience.
Exactly.
And their ideal
Monika,
clients.
thank you
Yes.
so much for joining me and chatting about this. This is such a fun conversation, chatting about how you do the mastery that you do.
It's been my pleasure. I don't even know how to explain sometimes how I do. Sometimes things are just innate. So, but hopefully I explained things well during this conversation.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Monika, and thank you to everybody who has joined us and watched this video with you. And if you haven't already, I hope that you will like the video and subscribe to the channel. We actually put out new content every single Tuesday. So if you want to be the very first person on your block to know when that has been released, please subscribe and it'll show up in your feed. Monika, tell everybody if they thought you were brilliant, how they can get in touch with you.
So if you think I'm brilliant and would you like to get in touch with me and possibly work with a head Kickass copywriter, why don't you just head on over to my website. It's Jansen, JANSEN.com. Check out our offerings. Check out my tone of voice. It's very distinctive. It comes through.
Awesome.
And I'd love to hear
Monika.
from you. You're welcome.
Thank you, Monika. And if you are looking for a new website or a marketing program that also does copywriting, but I bow down to the master of Monika, who is particularly when it comes to voices, who's such a specialist. Please feel free to go to our website, which is springinsight.com, and feel free. We'd love to have you set up a consultation and chat about your company and figure out if we would be a great match. Thank you.